I'm Hannah.
And I'm Matt Hanna.
And this is Horror Hour with the Hannas,
where we revisit one of our favorite horror movies.
Yeah, this is our first time that we are going back and covering a movie for the second time.
Longtime viewers or listeners will know that this was one of the original 3 episodes we ever released.
Yes.
It all came out on the same day. And I'm sure if you read the title, you'll know that we're covering 1974's The Texas Chain Saw Massacre.
And why we chose to cover this again is because, first, our microphone was a piece of shit. Second, I have had a change of heart about this film because we watched it for the first time. I watched it for the first time when we covered it. And so I did value my time to process it further. And it made me appreciate it a lot more. And also because we just saw it in theaters.
Yeah, which was a very cool experience. They released it on August 18th, which was the day that it actually happens. It was a one-day release only. And it also came along with like a 10-minute preview for a documentary coming out on it called
Chain Reactions.
Chain Reactions.
Yes, so they showed the beginning, which was odd. There are parts of it that I liked.
Well, we saw a very small amount. I'd be interested to see more of it.
Yeah, we'll see.
But the movie was a lot of fun. It still is as good as it's always been, is what I would say. So I'm excited that you feel differently about it this time around. I'm excited to talk about like what changed for you.
Yeah. I am also excited because in 2 days from recording, 1 day from releasing, because we're doing this one pretty last minute, we're going to be seeing Jaws in theaters. So it's definitely a month for seeing ye old classics from the 70s.
Well, we saw Weapons, and now we're then Texas Chain Saw Massacre, now Jaws. So it's been a big bump for us in theaters.
Yeah, some solid ones for sure. Use your A-list, bubs.
Cool. So let's talk about Texas Chain Saw Massacre. Or sorry, The Texas Chain Saw Massacre.
I'm going to leave off a lot.
I know. There's another movie called... there's so many of them.
I think we all know what we're talking about
I know.
in this particular episode.
The original.
So that's okay. So this film is directed by Tobe Hooper, written by Kim Henkel and Tobe Hooper, and as you mentioned, released in 1974 and is obviously resulted in numerous sequels.
Numerous timelines, sequels, remakes.
Yes.
All kinds of weird stuff.
It's one of the greats.
Agreed. And to be honest, I haven't really watched much except for the original.
I have only seen the original, and I'm totally cool with that. I don't really have any interest. But I'm like that a lot. Like, besides Scream, I normally don't care to watch sequels in a major franchise. Like, I've seen...
horror franchises.
Yes, major horror franchises. Like, I absolutely love Nightmare on Elm Street, so I pretty adamantly refuse to watch any except for you made me watch Dream Warriors, which was fun. But we
should also watch New Nightmare, which I've never seen and I've heard is very good. So.
I'm just like, I don't need to ruin a good thing, you know?
I get it.
But we did some background originally in our first episode. It's probably messy. I didn't go back and listen to it before this episode, but I knew a little bit of what I talked about, so I'm not going to talk about that for background. You can find that from 2023. But this film was marketed as based on being true events to attract a wider audience, which is very funny.
That is funny. Was this one of the first ones that did it? It must have been.
I'm sure.
I mean, this one also feels kind of real. Mm-hmm. At least up until a point. It feels like very much it could have been real. And maybe that's just also the way it's shot. Brings you right into the action.
Yes. And the original narration was done by John Larroquette, I believe it was. And his payment, according to Wikipedia, was marijuana.
Love that for him.
I just needed to share that because I thought that was just so ridiculous.
He did work to start that movie. It's an incredible intro. So, I hope you were happy with the payment.
And that intro is just absolutely vile. So go off, King.
Just nuts. And then you start getting the sound of the camera flash, like the people on scene at the graveyard taking photos. Just really incredible opening altogether.
And as we did talk about in our original episode, the movie is lightly based on real-life murderer Ed Gein,
Yep.
who is suspected to have taken several victims and scalped
Yeah, he was also known
bodies.
for like digging up
Grave
robbing and making furniture and doing all that weird shit,
Yep,
kind of like
which
our
is
characters in here.
all represented
Yeah.
in this film, so that's
Ed
super fun.
Gein's like one of the most famous and most influential
Quote,
killers.
unquote,
I know for a
serial
while they
killers,
weren't even
yeah.
sure if he was a serial killer because he just took claim for a bunch.
Yes.
And it might have been that he was just, I think he killed his mother for sure, they
He
said.
did
But
kill his mother.
he was mostly just like big time grave robber, making like lampshades out of skin and shit like that.
So cute.
But he inspired more than just this. I mean,
he's inspired a
basically
ton
every
of things.
slasher.
He's
Yeah.
inspired Silence of the Lambs,
Yep,
Buffalo Bill.
big time.
Yeah, he's inspired tons and tons of things. So, not
Shout
thanks,
out.
Ed Gein,
Yeah.
but the only other fun fact that I did want to share. Can you guess what this was rated originally?
Oh, I mean, whatever was above R, right? NC-17.
So, Tobe Hooper originally hoped that this would get a PG rating, because at the time it was PG and R. Like, obviously, there was no PG-13 at the time. That didn't exist till the 80s. It got rated X.
Okay.
So he was pretty off base. He thought it might get PG because it's a minimal amount of visible gore.
No, he's right. Yeah, there
But it's
isn't
still
like
so disgusting and disturbing.
Yeah.
Like, my boy.
an X rating doesn't exist anymore, right? It's like an NC-17 now, or does that still exist? I don't even know.
I don't actually know, because
Well-
I kind of conflate them in my head.
Yeah, I mean the whatever the ratings board has
X
changed.
was original, and now it has been replaced by NC-17, correct?
Okay, there we go.
To avoid associations with pornography.
Right? Yep.
But, like, same thing. Yeah.
X rated. Yeah, that's like a selling point now.
And they cut several minutes, and then it was resubmitted to the Motion Picture Association of America for its rating, and then it got
Then
an
it got its
R.
R rating.
Yup.
Okay. I wonder what got cut.
Yeah,
Because, I mean, the movie is still disgusting and disturbing without really even showing much. Well, we'll get into that when we talk about things we like.
So, our experience rewatching this movie, as we mentioned, was seeing it in theaters. How did it feel seeing this one in theaters?
I had been so excited since the day I heard about it, so I was really pumped to go see this again. I have long said and have talked to people who haven't seen this and have described it as, I think, one of the most important American films ever made. I don't think I'm the only person that would say that, and I stand behind that. It's not only like one of maybe the best horror movie ever made, which is crazy. It's probably not my favorite of all time, but like I think it has a very real argument. But it's also just such an influential and important and masterful film. So knowing that going in, I was expectation sky high, even though I've seen it many times before.
Well, I was excited because it is only the second time I've seen it. It's my first rewatch since we originally covered it, and I had my expectations set correctly. And also, like, I've watched so much more horror since we started this podcast, so there are things I think that bothered me a lot the first time that I felt relatively unfazed by the second time.
Bothered as in you were bothered because it was scary and it made you grossed out and it made you dislike the movie even though it was doing what it was supposed to do.
Yes, which I say a lot in the original episode, but I'm also kind of a baby about it.
And you're less of a baby now. You're saying. Okay.
For sure. So I was excited about that, just to see, like, now that I'm more into the horror space, how I felt about it. I also think this movie has some of the most gorgeous shots on film. And so there were a few scenes I was really, really excited to see on the big screen.
I felt the same way.
Like, those colors on that screen was crazy.
It was, and just the sound, like it being nice and loud in there, and just the bright sun on every shot. Like, I really enjoyed it. And it's just like, I've always said about this, like when people are like, you can't make movies like that nowadays, like this is the clearest example. And it's not because of the content, it's because of the constraints in which it was made under, or just things that don't really happen anymore. And I think the low budget, the relatively no-name actors, the lack of safety constraints, just filming in a 110 degree Texas house, like there's so much that went into this that just it wouldn't be made today for all those reasons. So
Yeah.
I've said before that I think the death of art is the lack of constraints, and I think no movie epitomizes that more than this one. So
We should make a TikTok about that.
the death of art and the lack of constraints.
Yeah.
So just, I mean, obviously we really like it. I will say as a theater experience, my only gripe is I really lock in for this movie in an emotional and like way of getting like I want to be upset by it. I want to feel disturbed. And I think a lot of people find this movie funny because there are like funny moments throughout. However, I found myself being a little more pulled out of it when people were laughing at things that I find like genuinely scary on previous watch. And while some of those things are funny, I think I really put myself in the headspace of the movie to not find them funny. And not everyone does that. And so like, I'm not blaming them for laughing at certain things because I think they can be placed as funny. But like for me, that definitely like disappointed me a little bit. But what are you going to do?
Will say for that is that that's not unique to this film either. There's been tons of horror movies that we've seen where we're like, what the fuck are you laughing at?
Yeah, it's tough because like I always am saying biggest screen possible, loudest speakers. But I also think at the same time, I would find this movie so much more effective in my own living room at night with all the lights off, like blaring up, just you and I. Or like a friend that hasn't seen it.
What I would argue at times that I do think that you fail to recognize, or even myself, is that sometimes people do laugh when they're uncomfortable or feel panicky. I certainly do that.
Yeah, that's fine.
I giggle at horror movies a lot, but it's like a panicky, weird laugh. And that's just because that's how I'm like releasing the emotion and tension. So, you know.
It could be that. But I think in some scenes, people were genuinely like finding it funny.
Scene, yeah.
The hammer scene that I find incredibly disturbing was one that was being laughed during. So I was just like,
and I can't even like disagree with the fact that it's like.
It is funny.
Kind of silly, yeah.
But I remember the first time, and I'm going to talk about this hammer scene a lot, and I'll just get crazy with it and skip around. That scene where they're trying to get Grandpa to kill her and being like, yeah, Grandpa, get her. And he can't hold the hammer and they just keep trying and trying. The first time you watched that, I watched you flinch every single time they swung the hammer.
And I don't remember that.
And it was amazing. I was like, this is such a visceral, scary scene because you put yourself in her shoes of these just absolute psychos torturing you to the point of like, well, we'll just let the guy that can't even hold the hammer kill you. Yeah. And that's how fucked you are, is the way I would put it. And so like having people laugh during that, which it is funny again, it just like, I was a little sad because I remember you and I both feeling so affected by that scene.
It's funny because I really don't remember feeling that affected by it.
You flinched every single time you dropped the hammer.
Hey, babe, that was my flinch era. I'm still in a flinch era, but like I was so bad.
That was when I was like, oh, Hannah's hating this movie, but for the right reasons.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So anyway, let's get back on track.
Do we want to do 15-second summaries?
Sure, we can do 15-second summaries. I have my timer ready if you're ready.
Yeah, I'll just
All
go.
Right. Go.
Group of friends encounter family of cannibals and artists and barbecuers and murderers.
Yep.
And Texans.
I realized that I don't know what I said last time, but I feel like I'm going to say the exact same thing I said last time.
One of us definitely made like a dumbass joke, and I feel like you're about to do it.
I'm probably going to.
Go ahead.
Okay, ready? So 5 teenagers trespass onto some guy's property, and he gets really freaked out and then hits a couple of them with hammers and doesn't really know what to do. And then they try to, cover up for it. And then one finally gets away. They were just hungry. I think that's what I said.
Yes,
that's what
I was
said
about to
time.
say the last time was about being hungry.
I do like the read of that he's just like, why are these people keep coming on my property? They're not supposed to be here, and just like hits them with hammers.
No, you literally can see that though when he's like looking out the window. He's like, oh.
He's like, how many more kids are coming into my house? Yeah. Leatherface, and he's like head on his hands. I love Leatherface as a character so much, and I don't think any remake has gotten him right.
Well, because he's very clearly
he's like supposed to be kind of
disabled and
abused,
growing up in a very, or like I'm assuming grew up in a very abusive environment and was taught really bad things. And it's not like there was a lot of outside sources at this time to learn other new or better information.
Yes.
So it's like sad.
He's good at what he does too. Protects that family, let me tell you.
He's a beautiful artiste.
Yeah.
Clearly, there's some crazy pieces in that home.
That's my issue with like later portrayals of him is like it's like just like him being evil killer, and he's just like not at all. He's like in this one, it's very clear that he's like, shit, why do these kids keep coming into my house? Like, Dad's gonna be so mad at me.
Oh, Mom and Dad are gonna be so mad at me.
Well, mom out of the picture, but
he said, "I'll be my own mother."
Basically, we'll get into that later. Okay, so for the full plot summary, I am not doing a real one.
Matt says this is a classic.
There's no way. Well, here's what I'll say. So I'm gonna just try to from my memory explain this movie, and I need you to correct me where it is. Okay.
Okay.
So 5 teenagers go because girl Sally and her brother Franklin want to go see Grandpa's grave to make sure it wasn't dug up by, well, who we'll find out later is the family. Then they pick up the hitchhiker who's the brother of Leatherface, and he freaks them out and does like some weird voodoo stuff, but not really. He's just a weird guy. Then
cuts himself.
He cuts himself. Then they go to Grandpa's house that's all messed up, and they all want to go to the watering hole, but it's all dried up because, you know, times be changing. Franklin is all cranky because he's in a wheelchair, and naturally that would make you cranky if you can't go places and you're being ignored and you feel like a burden. Then eventually they stumble upon Spooky House with Leatherface, and he's like, who the hell are these kids? And either beats them with hammers and cuts them off with a chainsaw or puts them on a hook. All kinds of cool stuff. Then eventually Franklin and Sally are like, shit, we gotta go find our friends. And they go through, and then Leatherface is like, oh my God, more kids. Let me saw this guy. Chases Sally around. Eventually they capture Sally. Turns out that the gas station attendant they saw earlier was Leatherface's dad/brother. Then they all show up and have dinner with Sally, make Grandpa drink her blood. And they're like, Grandpa, you can kill her. Grandpa tries to kill her. Then she escapes out the window, and they chase her. And then she gets away. That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
It was pretty good, right?
Yeah, nailed it.
I think that was good.
All right, horror fans, let's be real for a second. You ever watch a horror movie and think, if I were in that situation, I'd totally survive? Okay,
but would you? Like, what's your wisdom stat? What's your dexterity? Because if you've never rolled initiative against a shadow demon in a cursed cathedral, then I've got a podcast you need to check out.
It's called Table Talk Friday, and it's the Dungeons and Dragons podcast that makes you feel like you're in a horror movie. With dice. It's hosted by 3 friends, Andrew, Seth, and Zach, who are basically horror movie nerds with swords.
They walk you through how to build unforgettable characters, haunted storylines, and terrifying villains, just like the ones we talk about every week. But instead of watching from your couch, you're part of the story.
So if your idea of self-care is slaying demons and bantering with your besties while trying not to die horribly in a magical swamp, this podcast is for you.
Search Table Talk Friday wherever you get your podcast and start your campaign. Trust us, your friend group needs this.
Because what's scarier than a horror movie?
A badly planned D&D session.
So we normally, start by kind of breaking down what did this movie do well for you? What did this movie not do well for you? Let's start with what did this movie not do well for you? Because it's going to be a shorter list.
Is there anything for me? I don't even know. Anything that I would even think to complain about, I can excuse away.
What would that be?
Like maybe the acting of these no names back in the day, but then it's it also kind of feels like you just place some cameras on some dumbass kids at the same time. So is it really that bad?
Yeah.
All the effects work still. It's beautiful looking. The sound mixing is a little weird sometimes, but I don't know if I care.
Yeah.
And I kind of like when I can't really make out what someone's saying because again, it makes it feel almost like found footage.
I was gonna say this definitely has the feel of a found footage or someone who's videoing them and shouldn't be.
This movie feels like a snuff film in that the camera has nothing to say. The camera is just placed there and you're observing. The camera's not trying to tell you a story or make you feel a certain way. It's just you're going to sit here and watch this. And I think that's really cool. And it feels like they just had cameras around a serial killer's house.
Well, let me touch on the one thing that bothered me
I'm
on
ready.
rewatch
Let
on
me
the
tell you
big
why you're
screen.
wrong.
That's totally fine. You can say that. The scene where Sally is pushing Franklin through the cornfield and then later the chase scene through the cornfield, I just think looks old. It looks so grainy and hard to see. It looks like crap compared to the rest of this movie being so gorgeous.
I think the rest of it is sunlit and then also lit by candle and lights within the house. Yes. So you get that. This is where the limitations of the handheld, exactly. What I'm calling a handheld, because this was shot, you look it up, I'm not going to I said what it was in the old episode, but basically a handheld for the time. So I get that. However, with those constraints, there are some amazing shots within the chase scene that cause tension. Like her getting her hair stuck.
That's the only scene that
is like nauseating. And then I think there's
I'm not like that's a writing decision.
Sure.
And then...
I'll name one more thing though. Are you ready? Okay. I agree with you on the graininess. I don't really mind it. There's a shot where he's chasing here near the end of the chase scene where they do this weird thing with depth of field because you kind of are never sure how close he is, which I think is also a really cool choice of like,
I agree.
She's always kind of ahead, but it's like he's right there. But basically there's this crazy thing with depth of field where his whole body is basically taking up the background while she's in the foreground. They're like far apart because the depth of the field is so shallow. It looks like he's on top of her and he's like taking up the frame, and it's like just an amazing like work of art of a shot.
Yeah.
So
no, I do agree with that. It's just the limitations of it being as old as it is really is like my issue. Well, but you know,
it's alas, not it's age and just limitations of camera. Because remember, Jaws came out the year after.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all right, fine. That's a fine complaint. I still think it's wonderful.
That's fair. And that's my only complaint that I was going to throw in.
That's
really.
awesome that you have, compared to last time.
I don't know what I complained about last time besides like, it's gross. Oh, well, I have the same complaint, but that's not like a real complaint. So you want to talk about things you like now? Yeah, let's talk about
I want to hear what you feel differently about, if there's anything specific.
That's kind of, since I didn't listen to the old episode, I'm like, oh no.
Know.
I think for me, because like you mentioned, it almost has this quality of feeling like a snuff film. Like we're not supposed to see this. We're not supposed to be there. And I think some of the scenes really fouled me out so significantly. And I've always said that like, that's not what I was looking for in a horror movie necessarily. Like, I didn't want to be grossed out. There's a reason why body horror is not my favorite subgenre.
What's funny is I wouldn't even call this body horror.
I don't either, but I'm just comparing it. Like, understood. I don't need to be icked out.
I'm talking about, I think there's people out there that are like, this is a gross movie. And it's like, you don't see anything. It's all like implication. Yes, and it is gross. It's gross what's in you. It's in your head. But continue. And
so that, I think, was really like where my discomfort was the first time. Not that I found it necessarily like super scary, but I just found it really uncomfortable because it is. And I think through my time doing the podcast, I've been able to like better recognize that that is a cool thing. Like, I like that. I think that's a sign of a successful horror film to me, that it could elicit such a reaction that I was like, oh, this is so gross. Or like, I legit gagged. Like,
you did gag the first time.
Yeah. So yeah, now I'm able to better recognize that that is a strength. It just like at the time, I just wasn't there
you weren't
yet.
There yet.
For
you grew up.
And I would understand if people watch this movie and they're like, it's simply not for me. But, like, that doesn't make it not a good movie. And I think the first time around, I was like, no, I see it as a good movie. It's just not for me, which is kind of where my ranking, like, dropped.
Would you say this time around it was for you?
It felt more for me this time. But, again, Growth. I've also,
character development.
And, like, I've seen a lot more in the genre, and I can appreciate how, like, what this is doing now, comparing it especially to some pieces of shit or works of art that I've seen.
Stuff.
Yeah. So that was kind of where my issue was to begin with, but this movie, like I said, some of the shots are so stunning, and like the coloring is really gorgeous, but it also has some of the grossest shots I've ever seen. And by grossest shots I've ever seen, the immediate shots of dead bodies in the intro of the graveyard.
That must have been I've said this last time, that must have been a real dead body.
I don't know.
Like, that shit was slimy.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
As we talked about before, like, this movie already is so grainy and sweaty looking because of how it was shot.
Yeah.
And then you add this, and it's like, oh, you see that opening shot, and you're like, this can be an all-timer. Like, with the camera flashes, and then finally just stopping and to show this mess, grotesque, multiple bodies meshed together in all its glory. Like,
a work of art. And again, by these artistes.
Yes.
In the family. Desecrating this grave. The other scene that I think like fouls me out so significantly, but I think is a really, really successfully done, and I said it before, it's when Pam is in the house and falls in the kitchen and is just surrounded by bones and feathers. I am just so deeply, deeply fouled out by birds.
Well, she starts gagging too.
Yeah, so like I'm gagging. Everyone who listens to this podcast regularly knows that birds are one of my fears. I have numerous because I'm a chicken. But yeah, birds are so significant of a fear in my life that scene just like disturbs the absolute fuck out of me. And this time around, too, I was like, oh my god, thank god we did not get popcorn or anything, because I would be dying.
Well, I did want to talk about that scene and then also the later dinner scene. I did not realize how experimental those shots throughout those scenes were, at least for the time. Lots of weird, like, eye close-ups, face close-ups, like, kind of quick cuts all around, let you sit with it for a while. And that's, not all that common for a movie like this, and I thought that was really cool and effective because it really lets you
you sit with it so long
for a while,
and it's always cool with the fucking women that you're sitting with. Yeah. It's Pam, and it's in this
Sally.
scene, and then it's Sally at the table, and like the close-ups of Sally's eyes are like
really
so
cool.
Disturbing.
Yeah, it's a really just neat movie. And it's so cool, as you said, how pretty this was. And we haven't talked about the tracking shot yet, but everyone knows the tracking shot. And it's this crazy juxtaposition of like, I'm looking at art that should be hung in the Louvre, and then all of a sudden I am disturbed more than I've ever been before. And I think that that's really, really cool. Yeah. How they're able to do that. Especially like as they use a lot of these like establishing shots to almost like build the house as a villain itself, especially with that like tracking shot.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is so pretty. What a fun little farmhouse. Why is it so ominous? And then all of a sudden she's in the bird room, the feather room, I should say.
This movie also has just like really fun foreshadowing. Like they're reading the horoscopes that are basically like everything sucks for all of you, no matter what sign you are.
Or the radio about all the horrible things going on.
Like life is horrible and life sucks and everyone's dying. And the gas station man's, aka dad, brother, whomever is like.
I like to think he's dad, but that's.
I also like to think he's dad, so we'll just call him dad. It's like, don't go. There's so much that's really telling them like, you're about to have a rough fucking time, my friends. So that's really fun. And this movie does also an incredible job increasing tension. Like it starts out, as we said, with the immediate shots of dead bodies. It's immediately disgusting, but the tension just
and beautiful.
Grows. But it grows and grows and grows. Like they pick up this dude. He's being progressively weirder and weirder and weirder to the point of cutting himself and Franklin. But then they're able to ditch him. So then you have like a little bit of rest. And then they get to the house and the house feels kind of shady and Franklin can't get in. So that like increases the tension again. But then you're like, they're going to the watering hole. They're all fine. It's fine. And then you get to the house and there's this increase in tension there. And then something bad is happening to them. And then it's just building as you're waiting for Sally and Franklin to figure out what the fuck is going on because they can't find them and they're starting to panic. And then finally the chase scene and her hair getting caught in the bushes is just an amazing like tension builder.
The whole thing. And I realized watching this time around how much slower it is. And I like how methodic and slow it is. And it never gets boring in my mind. Like, but they let you sit with things for too long, especially like the hitchhiker. Like he talks slow. He doesn't get to the point. He's like,
that scene is so long.
He was doing weird stuff. And I didn't realize how long it was until this time around. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm getting uncomfortable. And that's like the same thing is like we really sit with it and it almost feels like a traditional slasher for a while where it's like, well, they're getting picked off one by one. They're going to the house, Leatherface is getting them. And like it's much better than most, but still it's kind of run of the mill until Sally gets captured. Then everything goes full on like snuff film. I don't even know what I'm watching at that point. I'm seeing something I've never seen before. And I think lulling you into that while still being very tense into then that bombastic ending that's just like I said so disturbing, nothing you've ever seen before is really I think another thing that makes this like stand out on top of everything else we've already said.
I think something else that I find just so incredibly disturbing about this movie is the like blatant abuse, like because not only are the youths that we're following coming and being murdered and abused.
But also, like, the hitchhiker and Leatherface.
The hitchhiker and Leatherface are so clearly abused. Like, they're being hit and, like, talked down to.
Yes.
And I think that adds, like, this extra element of, like, obviously you're not like, yeah, that justifies murder for sure, bro. But you are like, Jesus Christ, like, no wonder this whole dynamic is fucked.
Yeah. And it's also like when the bad guys you're scared of are also then scared of the cook.
Yeah. Who is the guy who's like the least physically violent?
Yes. It's like very psychologically disturbing. Well, I wanted to say, so that's also why I like imagining the cook as dad for a lot of reasons. But there's this scene that I think anyone that I guess has ever seen abuse would understand, where the cook is yelling at Leatherface and was like, did you let any of those kids get away? And he's like going to hit him with the broom. And he's like, you did this? And Leatherface is like, yeah, I did everything right. Basically, he's like, oh, you did everything right. And he pauses. And he's thinking, he's like, well, you did break the door. And then just starts like beating him again because he needed to find, he was going to hit him no matter what. He needed to find a reason. He was going to find a reason, which is like such textbook like parent to child abuse. Yeah. And like, it's just another, interesting, tense, scary thing to be added to this.
I agree.
Especially to see our main like villain of the time getting, being scared of someone. Yeah. And it makes you think, how scary was Grandpa?
Oh my God. Yeah.
So
I find it hard to...
Yeah, everything about this just works so well, from the tension, from the way it looks. And we talked big last time on how like beautiful and like the graininess. I won't get into too much more, but that's just something we acknowledge it. So don't get mad at us if we don't talk about how beautiful this movie is enough. Cool.
Anything else that you want to really highlight as being amazing before we're like diving into like thematic analysis?
The ending. Okay. I love her getting away. I think the whole final girl thing is kind of flipped on its head here, even though this is one of the earlier ones. Like, she gets away, but she is not okay. No. Right? Like it's also crazy. She's running down the driveway. The hitchhiker's chasing her, and he's just toying with her too. He could kill her anytime, and he doesn't care. And then he meets his demise because of it. But her getting into that truck and just covered in blood, screaming, and then turning into laughter, where it's like, yeah, she survived, but like, was it good that she did? It almost makes you like question like, oh, what life is she going to live after this? Because I think they want you to think that she has basically lost her mind and that this is going to ruin her. And it's like not a happy ending, even though she gets away. And it just ends with, Leatherface doing his little dance out there. Yeah. Just because, who knows, he's just also lost his mind just as much as she has. He doesn't know what else to do. And it just ends, it cuts to black just, I think, with the chainsaw running.
Yeah, which I really like that moment too.
It's crazy. Insane movie. So.
Do you have a scene that you think is the scariest?
The hammer.
That's the scariest.
That is, I just think, one of the most amazing. I love kind of the experimentalness of the dinner scene into that, where they're like, you kind of think maybe they're going to like let her live. Like, what's going on here? And she's begging for her life. And then they're like, no, we're going to let Grandpa get a taste. And then just, put her head over a bucket like she's livestock, because that's imagery throughout. And just him trying to hold it, and Leatherface is like basically holding his grip around and like trying to hit her. And they're like, you're going to be fine. Like, it'll only take one swing to kill you, basically. Yeah. And it's like, we're 6 swings in, and that's what eventually lets her escape, as she just goes out the window. So I think the hammer scene is amazing. What about you?
Mine favorite scene? The Pam in the house.
So that's your favorite scene?
No, scariest scene.
Oh, scariest scene. Sorry. That was my scariest and favorite.
That's my scariest. Sorry, I forget what my phrasing was.
You might have said scariest.
Scariest for me is definitely her in with the chicken feathers and bones and stuff, and then him hanging her from the meat hook.
Ooh, that is such a visceral, and he doesn't even have any malice behind it. It feels like he just picks her up.
She's like, just a piece of meat.
Throw her on there. Ugh.
Yeah.
Great shot. Also great to not show anything and really...
Thank God.
Well, yeah. It would have been lame if they showed something.
Yeah.
You know what the hook is, and you know when she goes in there, you can feel it. I feel like when you don't see it, you just imagine it happening to you.
It was so visceral.
Yes. Without anything being there. She's probably just standing in a box. Yeah. Like, amazing. Constraints, baby.
Yeah.
They're important.
That scene definitely bothers me the absolute most. Favorite scene... I don't know what I would say is my favorite. Because I wouldn't be like,
It's all
wow,
horrific.
I actively enjoy any of this. I guess I'll just say Pam getting up from the swings and
the
walking to
tracking
the
shot.
house. Just that small bit of the tracking shot's my favorite.
You know, I was going to say one more thing, just random. There's this really funny moment where Sally's running from him and you see the house from like behind for the first time. And so you're not really certain that it's the house yet. And then all of a sudden it cuts to the front and you're like, no!
Yeah.
Like it's immediate panic. And I think that's like a really funny and a fun, like kind of like gag, almost like scare. But okay, just random thing I wanted to note. Cool.
Should we talk themes now?
Yes, and there are so many themes in this movie. It's been talked to death. So, I mean, we'll do some quick hitters and then maybe hit some a little deeper that we think we have more to say about.
Okay.
Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, I'll let you kick it off then.
Vegetarianism.
Is this one of our quick hitters?
Yeah.
Yes.
And like just the abuse of animals.
I think this is one of the most blatant,
Yeah.
like on display themes.
Tobe Hooper did not eat meat during the making of this film, and this film apparently after Guillermo del Toro became a vegetarian or vegan or something.
I think there's some things like when what's his name says you'd eat it if you didn't know what was in it.
Yeah.
And then Franklin says that, and then it turns out later they might have actually been eating people because he bought those sausages from the cook.
Yeah.
And so I think it's the whole idea. And obviously then the women are treated like cattle. Oh, everyone's treated like cattle and livestock. And so.
Yeah. They're hanging from the meat hook, using the sledgehammer for killing like they did in like quote unquote old days.
The better days was better. More jobs.
Every shot of meat is just fucking disgusting.
Yep.
It makes me never want to eat barbecue again.
It made me hungry.
Cute. Yeah, I think that one's pretty on the surface, but I mean, it's like a key takeaway.
Yeah, it's nothing crazy, but I mean, it's very clearly there.
I would say it's like one of the main themes of the... What do you mean, nothing crazy?
No, it's not like it's like...
hidden?
Hidden,
No.
yeah.
No, it's not.
Cool, you got
Right,
another one?
Go up. Your turn.
I have one. I want to talk about gender and specifically women in this. I'm sure this is like my big one that I thought about a lot more.
I always think about gender. That's my favorite thing to think about.
I think I've thought about this more in this one than I did last time. But like the main part of it is that like obviously there is no, and we're gonna speak on this in terms of like normal or standard gender roles or like stereotypical gender roles. There is no woman in this household. There is 3 men that are running, 4 men that are running crazy, right? And I think there is kind of a commentary on like the importance of like the typical woman figure in a family is kind of what I think this says a little bit, or at least like a nurturing figure. And so I think we look at, let's look at Dad, the cook, who's like abusive towards them, right? And I think both of them have like artistic merits, we would say, or like what would be considered typical like woman like gender role type like merits or abilities that were probably not nurtured the way that they should have been because there was no woman in the family, right? So like as we joked before, they're both good cooks and they're both good at arts and crafts, right? Which is a more typical like stereotypical like gender role for women. So without that, like you kind of wonder, had there been a like woman figure, a nurturing figure, would they have turned out the way that they did? Everyone, you following?
Yeah,
what I'm putting down.
That's not actually at all part of what I was taking away.
Oh, interesting.
But go off.
So no, it was something I wanted to think about. Like you started talking about how they're like, oh, they're just good at art, and it's like, well, that is like more typically seen as like a feminine trait, left-brained, and then none of that was like nurtured. It's clearly there. And so I do start to think like, what are we saying about that? Like women are important to family, or women are important in a nurturing role, or just a nurturing role in general is important.
Yeah, these kiddos clearly needed some sort of nurture.
Sorry, I went on there because you weren't giving me anything. I was like, do you agree? Do you see where I'm going with it? No?
Sure.
I also think like grandma is there and dad. And so, and then you also have like the abusive father, right? Who is just awful to these like two boys, we'll say, with like, again, no mother figure to protect them or no like something like that. So like I think it's pretty clear. Actually, I think it's a really cool one to dig into. But,
I guess I kind of struggle with like any narrative that's like trying to push a nuclear family, because families can be anything.
For
you
sure.
don't need a woman
I don't
to
think
be
I'm
a
saying
nurturer. No,
nuclear.
I know. I don't mean nuclear, but like a man and a woman being the head of a family.
Fine.
I think
I
that's
agree
bullshit.
with that. It is,
so it's hard for me to like
also
see that at all.
either way, it's more, that's why I'm saying like stereotypical gender roles. I think it's more of like a nurturing figure. However, in this situation, I do think it's very clear there are no women in this household. No. And like also Leatherface dresses up as a woman throughout, or at some points he takes on these roles that are now missing. So maybe it's not exactly nuclear family, but like a good parent is maybe what I'm trying to say here.
They certainly don't have one of those.
I do think it's like clear that they chose all men for a reason, and like did dress up Leatherface in makeup for a reason to play these multiple characters. So
I think this movie, where I thought you were going with talking about gender, was just like female suffering in this film. Female suffering, like we mentioned, is shown far, far longer than male suffering. We don't get any of these long, lingering shots on men being abused and harmed at all in this film. It's all the women. And then it's, unfortunately, Sally only gets away because the men fucked up. And it's a man that ultimately saves her and drives her away. So, like, what is this saying about female agency?
Yeah. I think, like, altogether, it's kind of just diving into the whole, like, exploitation and voyeurism that we see in a lot of horror movies, which, like, typically is portrayed with women more, I guess. And, like, it's probably a male-dominated audience when it comes to, like, watching these things. But I would also say, like, this movie clearly has, like, in my mind, what would be considered like more leftist-leaning politics within its themes. Yeah. So, like, is it really criticizing violence against women, or is it like putting it on display of like this is the shit that could be going on out in the wild?
I mean, I think that's both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's another one of those like fears of small town America. This is like smaller than small town. This is rural America. But it is kind of like, you know, what's going on out here. This is what Ed Gein was doing, right? Like was kind of just out away from any law, really, and was getting away with stuff. So, and I think that kind of transitions me into another theme that I know you have written down, and I had too, which is the whole like technological advances leaving people behind. Which I know we talked about when we covered this previously, but it is kind of like with the they talk about, you know, changing to the bolt gun versus the sledgehammer, put people out of jobs. And when we advance in technology, people do just get left behind. And like, I'm not going to be empathetic towards this family, but they would be the example of like the ghost towns we see all across Pennsylvania when, you know, different industries have completely died.
Yeah, certain industries or jobs have just been rendered obsolete. And I know like right now, especially with the rise of AI, it leaves like, I think a lot of people wondering, what will my job be in the future? What will my purpose be? Did I just like fuck up my whole degree, my whole career path? Because
doubtful with
it's
AI,
going to be obsolete. Yeah. But I'm just saying like, this is not
it's
a
normal
fear.
Yes, it's not a new fear.
And I think persisted.
I think the difference is when you live among a community, you pretty much always can like move on to something, where when I see this like replacement of jobs, whether it came to like steel manufacturing or fracking, I mean, not that I say I want us to be fracking, it basically turns entire cities into ghost towns where people just kind of do get left behind to rot, and we end up, you know, drug use goes up in those areas, and things kind of just alcoholism goes up. And I think about, you know, we've driven across the United States in many ways, and like we've seen towns like that, right?
Yeah.
We're like, how does anybody live here? And you realize that, hey, this was an industry town at one point, and then, you know, industry left,
that
but
industry
the people didn't. And like, it's a very sad thing that I don't think people know how to really fix and address, because it's like you can't just ask people to like pick up and move, right? And I do think this is a very suburb or small town or rural
Well, even just like personalizing it, the town that my dad grew up in was like a town where everyone worked at like this one factory. And
Oh yeah,
then
what
that
was it,
factory,
Sunkist or whatever? Or
no.
wait, what was it?
That's my childhood hometown was
The Cranberry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck.
That's what I thought it was Sunkist. It's not Sunkist.
No.
What's the cranberry? Whatever major cranberry juice brand there is.
Oh no. Ocean Spray.
Ocean Spray. Sunkist. Close enough.
That's it. What I was going to say, so where my dad grew up, there was a giant factory. And once that factory closed and everyone got laid off, the town is like essentially in shambles.
It's dead, yeah.
Like,
I've been there. It's a mess.
There are no jobs. There's nothing to do.
People just sit around and do heroin and drink and smoke crack. We've seen it. Like,
it's sad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very sad. So I'm not even joking when I say I realized that maybe came across as a joke.
That's
like, no, there
why
is,
I
like,
paused. I was like, I don't
yeah, no,
want to
there,
stigmatize use or like shit
yeah.
on that. But I mean, that is the unfortunate reality is there's no good resources in this area.
It is really interesting looking at this though, like, because what is this saying? Like, if this is it just more bringing light to the fact that this is a scary thing that happens? They're not saying if this happens, everyone's going to end up being, you know, Leatherface and
well, and that's the thing, like we talk about too in like cities, like gentrification is bad, but also sometimes building new things and new opportunities is good.
Yeah,
building new housing, if it's affordable, is good. Having new restaurants where people can visit and spend their money and influence the local economy, those things are good. But yes, kicking people off their homes and their land is bad. And I think the same can kind of be said for this, right? Like, technological advances, for the most part, are good. Unless, you know, we're talking like the atomic bomb. But, you know, but they can be extremely harmful also.
Maybe this is just a really pro-city movie. Like, it's more about pro-community, I should say.
Yeah.
Where, like, when these kind of things happen, that there are these people that are basically abandoned out on their own, and that without community, this is what happens. Yeah. Apparently.
Well,
We're really reading into it, but I think we have to.
I think it's also, like, critical of government in a lot of ways, especially the government of the time. And part of that, if we relate it to this theme, is like when we need to be like funding these areas and like giving them resources to build back up and not leaving them like this, which we do. In terms of what I think the glaring intention was politically, he says, the film you're about to see is true. Like, there's this intentional misinformation, and that he quote, said was a response to being lied to by the government about things that were going on all over the world. So Nixon, Watergate, and the atrocities in Vietnam, and the economic recession of the time, and the oil crisis of the time were all events currently going on at the time, which, when you said this movie is very progressive, yes. Think of all those offense
now
and
I wonder if
perpetrators.
this is just about the corruption of America. Like, this is the
it
internal
is.
corruption. Like, these
100%.
three. Okay, I'm going to elaborate though. Like, so these three represent that small town internal corruption that, like, or maybe not even small town. We'll say the small corruption that was planted in our country by politicians that has then like spread, creating this corrupt superpower, which then kind of also plays into the like madness spreading, like to Sally as she's leaving. Yeah, like the family is the effects of the corrupted authority or distrust for authority and all of that. And then we also hear all the radios going crazy with the radio stories going crazy as the corruption is getting like spread out and worse, basically calling out that the whole United States as a system is corrupt, but it starts like small and spreads. Nice. Fuck Nixon. Sorry. Yeah. I think that's not an unpopular take. Yeah. So, well, you know. So Nixon was like grandpa in this movie and Reagan was the cook. Yeah. Yeah, all right, cool. I think that's beautiful. Except Leatherface was JD Reagan, Vance. Yeah, hadn't been president yet. I just made such a good joke that you talked over. Yeah, no, I heard it. I didn't think I talked over it. I did hear it. I just ignored it.
Yeah, speaking of, look up the Fishtown, Philadelphia J.D. Vance mural. It's beautiful. We should show that on our socials after this episode.
Yeah, we should go get a photo with it. It's the goofy meme photo of him somebody drew on a house, and it's awesome.
It's on a business.
On a business,
It's incredible.
The business had it put up there, right?
I think.
Yeah, they approved
There's been
of it.
a lot of shit. People being like, "How come this business allowed this to be there? They're gonna get less business." And I'm like,
they were like, "We don't. You live in Philadelphia. It's
like, yeah, bro. We're a small diner in Philadelphia in like a young neighborhood. We know our audience. Like, chill."
All right. So,
anyway.
Any more themes you got other than the ones we hit already?
Those are my big ones.
Okay. Well, then let's get towards our ending and wrap this thing up. What else you got? Yeah, this or that?
I do have a this or that, comparing this film to some of the other commonly considered best horror films. So, for example, I just pulled some from Variety as the 100 best horror movies of all time.
Okay.
Their list from 2024.
And Texas Chainsaw won, right?
Texas Chainsaw was number 1.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm going to this or that you. I'm going to go fast. So just give your answer, no explanation.
What? Okay, fine.
Well, then you're going to do it with me.
All right, okay, go ahead.
Normally I don't share.
I'm ready.
Okay. Texas Chainsaw or The Shining?
Texas Chainsaw.
Texas Chainsaw or Psycho?
Texas Chainsaw.
Texas Chainsaw or Carrie?
Texas Chainsaw.
Texas Chainsaw or Get Out?
Texas Chainsaw.
Texas Chainsaw or Alien?
Texas Chainsaw.
Texas Chainsaw or Halloween?
Texas Chainsaw.
Texas Chainsaw or The Silence of the Lambs?
This is hard to compare. Let's just say Texas Chainsaw.
Okay. Texas Chainsaw or The Exorcist?
Texas Chainsaw.
Texas Chainsaw or Night of the Living Dead?
Night of the Living Dead is my pick.
Okay. Texas Chainsaw or Jaws?
Jaws.
Yep.
Jaws is my big pick on that.
I saw that coming.
I was very close between Texas Chainsaw and Silence of the Lambs. So, but we'll give it out. All right, ready? Mm-hmm. Texas Chainsaw or The Shining?
Texas Chainsaw.
Texas Chainsaw or Psycho?
Texas Chainsaw.
Carrie?
I really, really like Carrie. I think it's like more my speed, but I think Texas Chainsaw is a better made movie. So Texas Chainsaw.
Texas Chainsaw,
Sorry,
Get Out.
I over-explained. Texas Chainsaw.
Whoa. Okay, Texas Chainsaw or Halloween?
Texas Chainsaw. Halloween's boring.
Texas Chainsaw. Hey, Halloween's good, but yes.
No, I like it, but it's boring.
Texas Chainsaw or The Silence of the Lambs?
This is the toughest one. I really... Skip.
Come back to it. All right. Texas Chainsaw or The Exorcist?
Texas Chainsaw.
Texas Chainsaw or Night of the Living Dead? This one, I know. But I love Night of the Living Dead so much.
Texas Chainsaw?
Whoa. That's fine. Texas Chainsaw or Jaws?
Jaws.
Yep. So Jaws is the only one above. Oh, sorry. Texas Chainsaw or Silence of the Lambs?
Going back to that.
I know. This one's really hard. They're really hard to compare.
Well, but they also have like threads in common too, like what they're saying.
I rated the Silence of the Lambs. I will rate on my personal scale Silence of the Lambs higher, like on like a 1 to 5 or 1 to 10.
Yeah,
Silence of the Lambs will be higher than Texas Chainsaw. However, in my head when I was like thinking of the epitome of horror movie, Texas Chainsaw
it's
was above
Texas
it.
Chainsaw. Yeah.
So that's my explanation.
Sure, I'll use that too.
Crazy. Also,
tiebreak.
Texas Chainsaw should have won an Oscar is what I'm realizing because it beat The Exorcist. Night of the Living Dead, had we done this last time, I would have put Texas Chainsaw over Night of the Living Dead. I have now watched that movie maybe 3 times in the past couple of years, and I think it is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. So it also, to me, is like the epitome of a horror movie.
Yeah.
So that's why I gave it to it, just to be quirky and fun. Okay, Texas Chainsaw is clearly very good.
Yeah.
Deserves its number 1 spot, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, what else do we want to say about it before we rate this thing?
It good. Go see.
It goes hard.
If in theaters.
Go see in your living room. Turn the lights off. Get immersed.
I'm sure people do that all the time, though. If in theaters, go pay.
See it. Okay. And if you haven't seen it, we do highly recommend it. It's definitely different from anything you've seen before, I would say. Yeah. So It's a cool movie. See if there's more themes. I'd love to hear other people's opinions on themes.
Like, there's probably, we could probably write, like,
a bunch.
There are probably books written
I know.
on this.
Well, I want other people's opinions on them. What I miss.
Yeah. Tell us the biggest thing you think we missed.
Patton
please.
Oswalt has a crazy theory about this, about the sun causing madness in this. And I thought it was a little weird.
Yeah.
Patton Oswalt, can you come on the pod and talk to us about it?
Yeah, I would love to hear you elaborate because I wasn't buying it.
Well, we only got to see part of the movie, so the documentary.
Yeah. So maybe we'll get more from it.
Okay. Well, let's rate it. What do you give it out of 10? Remember, you do have the Matt Dalton scale, so you can reclaim anything on that.
It's true. 8.5?
8.5. Nope, that's good. I would give this a 9 out of 10. So it's not a 10 out of 10 movie for me. Had I been in a theater by myself, maybe a 10 out of 10.
That's fair.
But it feels like it's fantastic. But it's also like, it's hard to watch.
It's hard to watch. And
they trick you with the beauty.
And the stupid chase scene just bugs me so much. I like docked a whole point.
Damn. I feel like it's so funny. It's like, look at how pretty this is. And it's scary now.
It's look how pretty this is. And then here's this grainy shot where you see fucking nothing for like 5 minutes.
Stop complaining. Okay. And then on the Matt Dalton scale, hard +5.
Yeah, on the scale of -5 to +5 of how much we'd recommend, it's a +5.
It has to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, again, I've said it's one of the most important films ever made for so many reasons that I feel like I couldn't even like elaborate
Although, to
on.
be fair, all of the movies we compared it to for the Variety's 100 best horror movies of all time
are all +5s.
I think they're all +5s.
Yeah. You know, I do feel that way. This movie is so important, and I wish I could like better elaborate over a podcast of why. But I think you just have to see it to understand. You know?
Maybe that means we're bad at podcasting.
Maybe. I don't know. I think we did a good enough job explaining some of the themes, but it's more about just the art of it.
Let us know in the comments if we're bad at podcasting.
I'm sure they will. We've been getting some dislikes on the YouTubes lately.
Oh, what the fuck?
I mean, I think it's because people open it up and there's no video, so they probably dislike.
Oh, I dislike that also, but
we're working on it.
We're lazy, so we haven't done it.
All right, well, I'm done. So, I've been Matt Hanna.
I'm Hanna.
Thank you for listening. This is Horror of the Hannas.
Peace out, Girl Scout. Thank you for listening to Horror Hour with the Hannas. Make sure to listen to future episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever else you can find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube, where we post episodes and shorts. You can follow us at Horror Hour with the Hannas on TikTok and Instagram, as well as at Horror Hour on Blue Sky for more content. If you like the podcast, please follow and leave a review on your favorite podcasting app. Happy hauntings!